The Rams could give this inside linebacker a big extension this offseason. Should they? That's coming up next here on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and welcome to the episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor, join the party. Trying to get 12,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and drop your comments down below. Any mailbag questions you got, I've been banking those, and you're going to see them later on a future episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade as SI 24/7 Dodgers Nation. Now the Rams for Locked On, and as always, I'm joined by the Rams pre, half, and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He just completed his 8th season covering your Los Angeles Rams, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And on today's show, should the Rams pay for a kicker, draft a kicker? Also, should they extend Ernest Jones? And can Shanahan pass McVay with the win in the Super Bowl? That's coming up. But first, this episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So, Travis, we're going to get right into it. Can Kyle Shanahan pass Sean McVay with the win this Sunday against the Chiefs? In my opinion, I think it would just put them on equal footing. I don't think he would pass Sean McVay, but I think just to sit at his table, sit at his lunch table, he needs to get that dub because, yes, he's made it to a Super Bowl. He's established himself as one of the best offensive minds in the sport. He's also the guy that had the 20-10 lead in the fourth quarter and couldn't close the deal. There's also people that blame him for 28-3 against the Tom Brady-led Patriots and that comeback. Sure. I think that's unfair, but still, he needs a Super Bowl just to sit at McVay's table.
Yeah, look, I think that Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay are on the very short list of best coaches in this league. Throw Andy Reid in there and maybe one or two others, and that's the list. If you were going around every team in the league and saying, do you want your guy or Sean McVay? Just about everybody would take Sean McVay. Do you want your guy or Kyle Shanahan? I think everybody would probably lean more towards Kyle Shanahan. And I think if you ask the Rams, your guy or Kyle Shanahan, they'd say their guy. I think the Niners would say the same thing. It is neck and neck. I think the deciding factor here is what you mentioned, that Kyle Shanahan needs to punch his ticket as a Super Bowl winning head coach, which he has a chance to do here coming up in a couple of days. Because when it comes to just a head-to-head matchup, it kind of has McVay's number. Look, there's not a bigger fan of Sean McVay than me, but when it comes to the Niners and the Rams, the Niners have won far more games than the Rams have. Now, the Rams won the most important one, which we all know about, the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago, but this is an opportunity for Kyle Shanahan to be in that group of guys that we talk about, of best coaches in the league. I think he's just outside of it right now. A win puts him in it, and I think that they're in a flat-footed tie at that point, and it's exciting because both of them have very, very good teams looking down the road. Both of them are young guys. Both of them love football, and this is the beginning of this rivalry. We're not even in the beginning of the middle part. This is the beginning of the beginning part, and we're just getting started.
I agree. Both are elite coaches. Both are looked upon around the league as elite coaches, not just from fans, but just from everyone that's in this league. Every team would like to have these guys holding their play calling and their organization. But I will say this, that as you pointed out, yes, in the regular season, Shanahan hasn't had McVay's number. He's won 9 of the last 10. Of course, the last win came in week 18 this past season when the 49ers were resting their starters. McVay actually got off to a good start. He won his first 4 against Shanahan. So, yes, he does have the regular season, but Sean McVay has the win that matters, and that is the NFC Championship game. And I guarantee Shanahan would trade all of those wins, those 9 of 10, for that one NFC Championship game win. So there's the playoffs, and I think that's where Sean McVay has the edge right now, as of today, is that Sean McVay is someone that when he gets to the playoffs at this point, he has that Super Bowl trophy. He led that team to 4 wins. I mean, a great run, one of the better runs we've ever seen. Whereas this 49ers team, they were the top seed, right? They were stacked. And really for them, they almost have to win a Super Bowl just to consider the season a success. It's going to be looked back as a failure if they don't beat the Chiefs. Now, I will say this too, is that he's someone who has the label from a narrative standpoint as, can he get it done in the playoffs? Because if he loses another Super Bowl and let's say they get absolutely boat race in the fourth quarter like they did when the Chiefs scored 21 points in the final 6 minutes, that the narrative for Shanahan is going to be like, he's a brilliant offensive mind, but he just can't close the deal. So he has to prove he can close the deal because McVay has absolutely proven that, because the Rams, they didn't just win that Super Bowl. They came back late to win that Super Bowl. So I think Sean McVay in a pressure situation, I think he just has that extra juice.
Well, we'll see, right? Because Sean McVay, I think if you looked at his first Super Bowl, you would look at that and go, what happened to that guy? That did not look like the Sean McVay that we had seen through the regular season. It doesn't look like the Sean McVay we've seen since then. It looked like he was a little bit less than his best at that first moment against Bill Belichick. Maybe you could say the same thing about Kyle Shanahan against the Chiefs a couple of years ago. This is his second whack at it. We'll see what it looks like. Sean McVay's second whack at it looked a lot better than that first one. We'll see what it is. I think what it comes down to, Doug, is, look, they're in the same division. They got to go through each other every year, right? The division runs through the other guy for both of them. That number one seed could potentially run through each other for both of them. That whoever does get to a Super Bowl, if one or the other does, you better punch your ticket to try to stay a step ahead of that guy, because the next guy might be back the very next year. That, Sean McVay has been twice in 7 years. Kyle Shanahan, this is his second trip in a relatively short period of time. You don't get to go all that often. These guys combined have been 4 times. You better punch your ticket when you get a chance to go, because who knows if the Niners go back next year. Maybe the Rams are right back in there and he's got a 2 Super Bowl lead on you. And once that happens, it's really hard to run it down. But I can't wait to watch it. I'm a firm believer in 2 guys can be good at something at the same time. And I think both of these guys are, and I would love to see them go back and forth and battle this out the way that they have through the first parts of their career.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, okay, so just because one guy's great, the other guy's trash. No, this is a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, right? These guys are both fantastic at what they do. I mean, to me, it's just kind of eerie how similar their careers have gone as coaches. I mean, look at the playoff records. McVay 7-4, 1-1 in the Super Bowl. Shanahan 8-3, 0-1 in the Super Bowl. Both their Super Bowls, of course, we mentioned blowing that lead. But to be fair, that was the ugliest Super Bowl we've ever seen with Sean McVay.
It was.
He scored a field goal there. It was just a horrible afternoon for Rams fans. So he definitely has that. He more than made up for it. But look, I'm not saying I'm biased here. I'm not biased here at all. I mean, just be honest here. I'm sticking up for my guy. I just think that, look, I don't think Shanahan can pass him with the win this Sunday. I will say you beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Is that as impressive as being Joe Burrow and that Bengals team at home? It is, right? Especially when you're playing at your own stadium. So I will give him that, but I will say, too, that this 49ers roster is so stacked. We like to bring up the Dodgers a lot in this show, right? They're as all in as the Dodgers are, right? Except they're paying their quarterback $1 million. We're only paying Ohtani like $2 million, right? So, I mean, you factor that as well. So I totally agree. Both can be great, but hey, prove it. Let's see that Super Bowl, okay?
Well, the guy that could come out of this is the answer to the question is Andy Reid. And Andy Reid could win his third in 4 or 5 years. And the answer to who's the best coach currently in the NFL, it's Andy Reid. Belichick may have the best resume, but Andy Reid will have had the best run over the last half decade or more. So, McVay and Shanahan could be playing for second place if Andy Reid punches his ticket again.
I love it. L.A. native, Andy Reid, a guy who likes Tommy's over In-N-Out. And by the way, everyone freaks out about this whole Taylor Swift thing. And for me, the big takeaway is I'm not getting my Andy Reid shots. I used to see a lot more Andy Reid. Now I'm seeing Taylor Swift. And look, I don't want to see Taylor Swift all the time. I mean, that just needs to stop. But coming up here in our next segment, should the Rams re-sign? Should they extend Ernest Jones? That's coming up next. You're on Locked On Rams.
All right, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster, and for free. When you get that right person in front of you, it can unlock everyone else on your team and take your business to the next level. And LinkedIn Jobs, it's not just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. And they're always looking for ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write your job descriptions, making the process easier and quicker. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Also, it is this week. We've been waiting all season long. It's Super Bowl week. Happy Super Bowl week to all of you who celebrate. That's all of you. If you're here, you celebrate. But from me and from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So if you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is not just about the game. It's about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets, right? You can't go wrong with a bowl of chili on Super Bowl Sunday. Little chopped onion, little jalapeno, little cheddar cheese. You can't beat it. And why not get some great bets in there as well? I love the under in this. 2 great sneaky teams right there. And FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. And new customers, join today and you get $200 in bonus bets, and your first bet of $5 or more wins. That's right, $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, a special shout out to our everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every episode. And if you're new to the show, definitely become an everyday listener. Membership is 100% free. You don't want to miss a thing about your Rams this offseason. Lots to get into, so be sure you're checking in with your Rams. So coming up here in our second segment, Travis, we're going to talk about Ernest Jones, because Les Snead, he had some very interesting comments about Ernest Jones a few weeks ago and the possibility of signing him to an extension. He said he's definitely the leader of the defense, and in the past we'd be invested in other positions, but he also would say he's definitely someone we'll discuss and someone we'd like to have around. Now, he's someone who's not a free agent, but he's going to be a free agent after next season. Mm-hmm. Able to get a deal done, you could sign. You could save some money in the long run if he does have a big breakout year. Now, for me, at that position, an inside linebacker, I'm not so sure you want to totally invest heavily in that position. He definitely has been extremely solid for the Rams, but I can't say that I'm all in on signing him to a big extension.
Look, Ernest Jones had a great year. He, along with Aaron Donald and Kobe Turner and, I'm going to throw Byron Young in there. They were kind of the most consistent performers on this defense all year long. He was an incredibly valuable player in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, one of the few players on this team on that side of the ball that has Super Bowl experience. Then he went back and kind of took a backseat to Bobby Wagner for a season and handled that incredibly well, and then was ready to go when they put him back into the starting lineup this year. I'm a huge fan of his. I think the Rams are a huge fan of his. They don't pay guys at that position. That's just a position that they have not put a premium on under Sean McVay and really under Les Snead. They've had some undrafted guys in there, guys like Corey Littleton. They've had a bunch of guys cycle through it and have never really said, this is the guy that's going to hold this down, with the exception of Bobby Wagner, which lasted exactly 1 year before they decided to go into another direction. I think if I had to guess what they're going to do, it would also be the same thing that I would like to see them do. Show me again. Let's see. And if you kill it, then we can have a conversation about maybe extending you and getting you what you deserve. But I think that it's an interesting point, D-Mac, that maybe this is one that you slow play a little bit. Would the player love that? I'm sure he would not, but I think it's in the best interest of the organization to try to make sure that you're spending those dollars as best you can, because this season that's coming up, That window's wide open again, and you're going to have to throw a lot of money in a lot of places. And the less you have locked up, the more you can spend other places.
Absolutely. And he has been insanely productive. I mean, last season, 145 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 6 pass defended, and you look at his PFF grade, 78.8. That's good. It's not elite, right? And for me, if I'm going to spend and invest on off-ball linebacker, this guy better be great. He better be one of the best at his position. We're talking the Roquan Smiths, the Fred Warners, the Tremaine Edmonds, those types, okay? Those are the ones you want to extend. Ernest Jones, I'm not so sure he's earned a massive deal in the fear that, okay, you're going to lose money down the line. You could save big if he has a big season. I don't know what his peak is going to be. I think it's going to be really good, but I just don't see him as some perennial all-pro linebacker like the guys I just mentioned. And really, typically, if you look at what he specializes in, interior pass rush, run stuffing, you can find that, right? What's difficult to find is guys that can cover and guys that can get to the quarterback at ease, right? So I think those are the positions I'm investing in, but it does seem like from a leadership standpoint, from a culture standpoint, they really like Ernest Jones and they'd like to have him around, like Leslie said.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? This is, if it were just a free-for-all and you could spend whatever money you want on every player, if you could Dodger this thing, you pay him, right? You pay him and you just say, okay, whatever, we're going to pay the next guy and then the next guy and then the next guy. But that's not how it works in the NFL. You have to make decisions. You have to make decisions on where you want that money to go. I agree with you. I think that it's kind of a balancing act of, does he fit culturally what you want to do? Is he exactly the type of player that you want? Yes. Is he productive enough at that price? Probably not, right? So you're kind of bouncing back and forth. So if I can save some dollars here and throw it at a corner, throw it at a lineman, throw it at another tight end, or wherever the Rams feel like they need to spend some more money, then I think that's the decision they have to make. He's in a weird spot because I'm sure they would love to keep him. They love his attitude. They love what he brings to the table. But now it's time to get paid, and that's when hard decisions got to get made.
That's exactly right. I mean, those are those hard decisions come up, and you can't keep all these guys. You can't retain all your talent, but I think it's also where the NFL is headed too. I mean, give me guys that can rush the quarterback. Give me guys that can cover dudes, and that's where I'm paying my money. Some things I invest heavily in. Some things I'm cheap about. For me, Travis, when it comes to TVs, I mean, I spend money on TVs like I'm a billionaire. I mean, whatever TV, Sony OLED, 4K, I will eat top ramen for months. Right. But with TV, I know I need it. Right. So
the answer is golf balls. Right. I'm going the expensive. You're a TV guy. I'm a golf ball guy. Don't bring that Pinnacle noise into my golf bag. We're doing Pro V1s over here. Get out. That's the only two options.
Yeah, no, golf balls are big. I'm not a big golfer, but I definitely, my friends talk about it all the time. By the way, did you see that video that kind of went viral that this guy, he bought these golf balls on Facebook Marketplace, and he shows up to the door to pick them all up, and he drops all the golf balls, and he just runs and leaves, and they're going everywhere. I mean, what would you have done in that situation? Would you have stayed and picked them up, or you'd have probably ran too, right? I would have ran. I would have been like Usain Bolt. I'm not picking up all those golf balls.
Yeah, I think I'm out of there. I look, I brought him your hats enough. It's up to you to go scoop them up. I'm out of here.
There's a lot of golf balls, man. But coming up here on Locked On Rams, speaking of investments, should the Rams invest in a kicker or should they draft one? What should they do at that position next season? That's coming up next here on Locked On Rams.
You know what was great on Sunday, even though there was no football on Sunday, this most recent Sunday, was my DoorDash app, because I woke up on Sunday and said, you know what I want? I want a pastrami sandwich and fries from Ted's, which is near my area. And I'm like, yep, DoorDash, and I saved a little money doing it, because DoorDash can get you all the stuff locally, right? You can order your groceries, some stuff that maybe you forgot from the big game. Just open up your phone, put that DoorDash app, and you are off and running. You can get up to 50% off, up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code LOCKED23. That's subject to change and terms do apply. But here's the good news. No matter what you forget, wings, soda, burgers, even just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I went to the store and I forgot the buns and the chili, right? DoorDash, order your chips, your dips, your nachos, everything you need to make the day a great day, and you don't have to get off the couch. You don't have to do anything with that DoorDash app. Don't forget the code LOCKED23. Again, that's 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code LOCKED23. Again, subject to change and terms apply. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and a whole lot more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you're always going to find exactly what you're looking for at eBay Motors. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices that you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Again, that's ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
And we are off running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, Travis, here in our third segment, we're going to continue these big decisions that the Rams need to make this offseason. And one of the big ones, it's a lot bigger than we probably expected to be, was what are they going to do at the kicker position? What will they do? They struggled mightily at that position last season. You went through Brett Maher, and then you waived him. Then you brought in Luke Haversick. He looked good for a couple of games, and he was bad. You brought back Brett Maher. The Rams missed the most kicks in the NFL. I think personally, you have to, as much as you might not want to, invest in that position. And I'm going my guy, former UCLA Bruin, bring Kaimi Fairbairn home. Bring Kaimi Fairbairn home. Had to do that. Bring my guy back to LA. I think you got to invest in that position.
I think you do too. I think what you do is you go into the free agency market, you explore who you think might be the best guy available, and you need to at least get league average at that, right? I get it that Justin Tucker isn't going to all of a sudden become available. Evan McPherson isn't going to become available. I get it. But you can't be bad, and you certainly can't be the worst at it. You need to at least get league average. I also wouldn't help, like you're saying, go and find a guy that's on a current roster, someone else, maybe somebody that's a free agent, and then maybe draft one late. The Rams can expect, because they had such a good draft last year, you can kind of throw some stuff at the walls. Let's sign some undrafted free agents to come into camp. Let's open this thing up and have a competition for it, because I know that the Rams didn't score touchdowns in the red zone against the Detroit Lions. I know that was the Achilles heel there. Fact of the matter is, who knows how that game unfolds differently if you know that you have 3 points in your back pocket inside of 45 yards or so. They never felt like that. They had to call plays differently because of that. They had to go for things differently because of that. I don't know if it's the top priority going into the offseason, but it's certainly not beyond the top 2 or 3. They got to get that kicking position right, and you might have to spend a little money to do it.
You might have to. You know who also is a free agent? Greg the Leg Zuerlein. And he was really good last year, 35 of 38, 5 of 6 from 50 plus. So
his best run was with the Rams too. The best run he's had as an NFL kicker was with the Rams.
For sure. Absolutely. And you got Chase McLaughlin, Will Lutz, Nick Folk. I mean, there are kickers out there you can invest in, but you're going to have to do that. Sometimes you don't want to do that. I mean, but look, you get what you pay for, right? If you go out there, and even last season, I mean, the Rams kickers, they weren't even Spirit Airlines. They were the plane from Major League, where you had to duct tape the propeller together, right? Yeah. That's the plane they were. I mean, it was just not going to get it done. And my big fear is that this is a year where last year, we overachieved, we exceeded expectations, but you're not going to have that this year, because they're going to invest in, you can't have your season come down to a kicker that's going to lose it for you. It's like the Dodgers going out there and bringing back Ryan Brazier, right? You got the lineup and the rotation set, but you need a bullpen too. You got to go out there and invest in a kicker.
It's too important. You can't not have one. You look, here's the truth of it all. Think of some of these teams that have been, the Rams might be out of the playoffs because they didn't trust their kicker. The Lions, Dan Campbell made some decisions that I think at least in part were based on he did not have a ton of faith in his kicker. Let's see what happens in the Super Bowl with Jake Moody and the 49ers, who all of a sudden he's gotten super shaky coming down to the biggest game of his life. It matters. It matters a great deal. It's never one of those things that you really notice until you don't have one. And the Rams don't have one. They got to go find one. And I think you take a shotgun approach much more than a rifle. I think you bring in a lot of guys. You make these guys compete with one another, and you find the best one that you can for as cheap as you can, but not at the expense of just saying, I will just take anybody like they did last year. That blew up in their face.
For sure. And if you're watching this, you survived the Brett Maher and Luke Havristic experience. And that really builds a lot of character. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And as always, you can follow the People Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, at Travis Rogers. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house. Or actually, we're not going to do that anymore because Larry David doesn't want us to do it. So thanks for watching Locked On Rams. But we'll talk about that next episode. But that's going to do it. And see you next time. And we'll do it one more time. Whose house is Locked On Rams house?